All right, hi there, guys. My name's Aaron Van Buren. I'm with Ray Electric Radio, and I am going to do a quick demo on how to crimp on a PL259 end to complete the installation on the mobile radios that you guys are installing. So, first thing I like to do with a RG58 cable, which is the size cable that you guys are going to be using, is to first find the fitting. Here's your PL259, and this right here will give you kind of an idea of how much bare wire you're going to need and how much of the actual insulator needs to be left, the inner insulator. So you can kind of just gauge it from the tip here to here, and then to the bottom of this fitting right here where my thumb is lining out at, right? So that is your first part you're going to strip. So I like to take something like this, which is a wire stripper. It has a 10-12 size stripping position on it, and it's the biggest one. Don't want to go much smaller than that, because then you risk nicking that inner conductor. And I just like to give it a couple of crimps like that. Let's see. And then this here is your ferrule, and I always screw this up. I always put this on after I've stripped everything back. So best practice is to put this guy on first, and then you can work on getting your inner insulator stripped back. So you can see here, I didn't quite make it through. This is your inner insulator, and this is some of the shielding wire that you don't want to touch that inner insulator. So what I like to do here is just take my cutters and snip that back. Now, as you can see, there's still got this inner insulator on. We got to get rid of that. So then I come back again with the 10-12. And sometimes if you need to, you can take this inner part, this inner cutter, and just kind of score it a little bit. The wire that I sell in bulk and the wire that you guys should be getting in your connecting kits should be solid, which is a better setup for doing what we're doing here. Now, you can accidentally, what I've done is accidentally pull that loose a little bit, but I'm going to continue on here. So now we've got the inner insulator pulled free. I'm going to have to do this here. I'm going to make this another little cut here and get this guy off without pulling it out. So anyway, so the next step, this is where you can kind of run into trouble, right? You want to look at just the bottom portion that's going to slip over that inner insulator. So basically, your inner insulator is going to go inside of this guy, right? So you can take your scrap piece here, and you can see how much needs to be stripped off there, right? It's about that's probably 3/4 of an inch, if it's not an inch, you know. But that's a good way to do it. Take your inner insulator that you've trimmed off, shove it in there as far as it'll go, and that'll give you kind of an idea of how far that sucker's got to go in there. You can leave it a little bit less, but you want to have at least enough to get inside of this inner ferrule right here, because all that's holding this together is the tension from the crimp that we're going to do over this guy. So now what you can do is take your 3/4 of an inch on your outer insulation, and you just want to barely give it a little pinch to score it. It doesn't take much. You can kind of work your way around. I like these kinds of cutters that have a little plier end on them, because then you can flex the insulation, and if it hasn't cut all the way through, it's going to pull it away a little bit. And you can see how it's starting to pop loose there. There's a little bit holding it on, but then you pop this guy off. You can even use your hands. There you go. And now you've got an outer outer shielding, and then the inner insulator. And you want to kind of peel this outer shielding back so that it comes away from there. Now, the next step is to stick this sucker, this fitting on all as far as it'll go. Now, you may have some extra wire out here that you can trim back with your cutters. I also use a set of little angle cutters, right? And you can trim off some of the excess if it bothers you. It bothers me. I hate it. I can't stand having that extra shielding wire kind of sticking out. But it doesn't really affect the operation of the connector or the antenna, right? So that allows you to get this ferrule, this ferrule over the top of your connector. Now, this is the actual connector that I'm sending up with your order, so this will be the one that you're using. It's got a die in here that allows you to crimp RG58 and 59. RG58 is the smaller of the two. This guy right here, the second one. So what I'm going to do is, this is a ratcheting crimper, so it will lock. There is a release. If you get in there and you're not confident in it, there is a little release button right here. To a certain extent, you can get in there and pop it loose. So anyway, but it's real tough to correct once you've started on these. So I like to get this sucker over the top of the fitting completely before I ratchet down on it, and I get as tight as I can to the PL259 connector base. And then you just give her hell, crimp it down, and you can see the ferrule's crimped. Now I go back and I crimp the part that I got or didn't get on the outer insulation, because that will give you an extra grab on there. You shouldn't need to put any kind of heat shrink or tape over this. It's not critical because this is the vehicle side. Everything else on the outside of the vehicle is already weatherproof. So now we can come to the small tip of the fitting and give it a little crimp. There's a two position, or a very small, the very smallest one, and you have to go up from the back side, right? Because otherwise, well, I don't know. It's got room for both, but you can't really get on there for the for this particular connector. So you'll take and get into the smallest, very smallest, and again, just give her a quick crimp, and that should lock you in there nice and tight. This one's kind of critical because it'll give you that extra little hold, especially if you weren't the greatest on this ferrule crimp out here. And then you can just take your side cutters or your wire cutters and trim the end of that off. And now you've got a solid connection, and this just threads into the end of the radio. But it's much easier passing something like this through the firewall, or however you're going to run this cable kit to mount it out on the fender. So I'll come back with another video of how I like to mount the antenna kits to the fender mount in another video. So I hope that helps. You can always call us here at Ray Electric for any kind of technical assistance, and if we don't know, we can definitely find out for you. So, All right, thanks for watching, guys.